To discuss opportunities for your portfolio, Jason Su, CIO and founder of Rayliant. Thank you so much for being with us, because we look at the AI trade here at home and abroad, and you're going to tell us, I mean, people love tech. They love AI. They don't want to hear that it's done or almost done or what inning it is. They want it to be the first inning. You know, they want opportunity, Jason, and I know you still think there's some room to run. Tell me more.
So, Nicole, that's absolutely true. I think, you know, we're probably inning number 5. I know you don't want to talk about innings,
okay.
but I'm just saying there's room to go. And sure, some of the names are expensive, but I think what we're seeing now is the earnings are actually outperforming expectation, meaning earnings are catching up, and with each quarter it actually makes the valuation level shrink and look cheaper, and that is very healthy.
Look, nice to see some earnings catching up, but there's no way they could catch up to some of that CapEx spend. I mean, when you see the billions and billions going out the door and people are excited and it's going to be super, at some point they're going to get really tired. They want return on that investment. They're going to become sort of jaded and say, listen, you know, you're dropping another 50 billion, I don't want to hear it. You know, at what point does that happen? But in the meantime, we've seen some great strides for a name like Alibaba, for example, a name you like, right? Tell us more.
Yeah, so Nicole, names in the US are expensive, like you say, and it's going to take some perfection to make sure you get your capital back. But if you are willing to look outside of the US, you look at Alibaba, right? It is no longer a software company, right? It's got its own AI chip, right?
Yeah.
It's got its AI algo. So it is comprehensive as an AI play, but at a third of the valuation. So if you want to buy AI, that is an opportunity at a much lower valuation level. And that's what we got.
When you look at the Mag 7 here at home, are you tempted? I mean, are you tempted to say, I really like some of these names, or is it just so obvious to you that they're overvalued and you're not touching them? I mean, what do you do? Or you have to be in them type of thing?
So I would say the beauty of the Mag 7 is if you look back to the internet days, right, the money, the CapEx, had to come from the VCs. And the VCs do demand return on their capital. But now with the Mag 7, the CapEx is all from retained earnings, and they are the richest cash cow out there. So they can keep throwing money at CapEx, and they can reclassify their revenue as AI related, and all of a sudden getting a different valuation multiple. So from that perspective, that bubble can blow a lot bigger.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're not getting from a venture capitalist who says, hey, I loaned you this and I expect this. Instead, it's from their own earnings. And I guess they can sort of restate how it's done, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier when you're already producing revenue, right?
I mean, doesn't that make you say, do you think people should be selling their AI names here?
I mean,
we've had a few good years now. We're 3 years into a bull run. Just hit a record on the NASDAQ within the last 2 weeks.
So, you know, research have been looking at if you buy at new highs, do you do well or worse? On average, you actually do better. So don't let new highs scare you.
Right.
What should scare you is, of course, unreasonable valuation. And again, I think if you're looking for AI, but you're afraid of high valuation, this is where you want to diversify. And I would say diversify into Asian names, a lot of Asian hardware names. I think some of them may have a better solution than NVIDIA, and they could have NVIDIA's lunch soon enough.
Uh-oh. Let's talk about, I say uh-oh because Jensen Huang may be watching. Let's talk about the Rayliant ChinaAMC ETF. Tell me a little bit about that. What is that?
Yeah, so that's in collaboration with the biggest mutual fund house in China. So you can think of ChinaAMC as the Fidelity of China. And what we have created together is a basket of high growth tech funds that are listed in the US as ADRs, in Hong Kong, but also more importantly, on the mainland, known as the A-shares. So a lot of the A-shares companies are actually some of the world's biggest component makers for AI hardwares, but they're lesser known. And so this is an opportunity for you to participate in these names that both have exclusive access to this enormous Chinese market when it comes to AI hardware, AI software, but who are actually critical supplier of components to even many of the American AI server builders.
So is the People's Bank of China behind it? I mean, for example, just so people really understand, if you're talking about AMC is actually like a Fidelity of China, then the People's Bank of China is behind it to a certain extent, right?
So
and
they
I'm
have
not saying that's a bad thing.
they have
people like to invest in China, or sometimes they like to invest Asia ex-China. It depends on their appetite. So if this ETF has how many names, and they just will have that exposure, right?
Yeah. So this ETF, will hold anywhere from 150 to 200 names.
It's a lot of names.
It's a lot of names, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there's going to be some similarity to Max 7, meaning some of the bigger weights are going to go to the titans, right? Your Alibabas, your Tencents that you're more familiar with, but of course also to a lot of other hardware names that people are less familiar with.
So this is CMQQ that we're talking about, right? That is the one.
Q play on word, QQ, ChinaQQ.
It really, I get it, ChinaQQ, and I like it. Now people can remember it too, right? Instead of doing the triple Qs here at home, we have the ChinaQQ. That being said, the names, how often are they changing those names? You mentioned, 100 or 150 names or something. How often are they changing those names or reallocating?
We're rebalancing the portfolio every 6 months.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That is, and so the exciting part in there is how many names you have exposure to. I mean, you just need a few to take off, and then you probably do well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the performance of the index behind the ETF has been spectacular. It's been a lot better than, of course, the broad market China index, just as QQQ has been better than S&P 500. And just it's got a meaningful exposure to the AI names on the hardware and software side. And you're not surprised that they have outperformed the broad market by a very meaningful margin.
Yeah, you talked about even competitors or maybe other exciting developments like NVIDIA, but something else or maybe something better. When we think about the bubble, the AI bubble, or where we are in the AI race, you talked about being in the 5th inning here. The 5th inning, is that in AI overall, or is that here at home? Maybe we're farther along because you're actually concerned about the bubble here.
I would say, the U.S. leads the world, so we are ahead of others. Others are just now catching up. So what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of the tech names who have now become full-on AI names, starting to rise in valuation.
Yeah.
So, I would say for Asia, for China, perhaps you're in inning number 2, number 3.
Right. Wow. So earlier on, so the valuations are much better.
Much cheaper.
I mean, how much cheaper?
So anywhere from a third to a quarter.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
But it also, of course, harkens to your point, the U.S. has gotten quite expensive.
Yeah. Jason, it's great to chat with you. Thank you, bringing us something different that we don't talk about as much. Thank you, Jason Su, CIO, founder of Rayliant. Thank you.